Hey, anatomy students, welcome to Election Day, November 3rd, 2020. Today, we are going to start learning about the skeletal muscles, and we'll start kind of like we do with the bones. We'll start with the axial muscles, and then we'll move on to the appendicular muscles. So, let's get through this, and then you'll have some pages in the muscle packet I handed out to you last time to work on. So, here we go. First, interaction. So we should know the movements, the 19 movements that muscles make. That's what we've been taking these quizzes over. Interactions. We saw the word prime mover on our muscle lab. And it's a very simple definition. The main muscle, the biggest muscle that makes that movement. So, for example, flexion of the elbow. The prime mover for flexion of the elbow is biceps brachii. Biceps brachii. It's the largest muscle in the area, although there are two or three other muscles that allow you to bend your elbow, flex your elbow. The antagonist is the other muscle on the other side of the body that gets longer when the prime mover gets shorter. So, flexion of the elbow, bicep, prime mover. On the opposite side of the body, the antagonist is the triceps brachii. And when we extend the elbow, the triceps brachii becomes the prime mover, and the biceps brachii becomes the antagonist. Synergists are the muscles that help the prime mover move that joint. So, as I just mentioned, there are smaller muscles that help us bend the elbow. And we'll learn some of those as we move forward. So synergists are smaller and they help, they aid the prime mover. And then finally, fixators. Any muscles can be fixators. Fixators are very much the isometric things we do every day. So, for example, just having posture. You have muscles that fix joints in place and stabilize us and allow us to sit straight with our back straight. And fixators would also stabilize joints when we're trying to move other joints. So I can't really name any specific fixators right now because most muscles will isometrically fix joints in place. Naming skeletal muscles. You will see quite a bit of Latinish words for the names of muscles. So, some muscles are named based on their location, like rectus abdominis is found in your abdomen. Some are named based on shape, like the deltoid is the triangular muscle, on top of your shoulder, named for the Greek letter delta. Size of the muscle, one of the largest muscles in your body, is gluteus maximus. Maximus meaning large, and that's your butt muscle. Direction of muscle fibers, we can go back to rectus abdominis. Rectus means straight up and down, so the straight up and down muscle of the abdomen. Number of origins, you've heard some of these names already. Biceps, triceps, quadriceps. Biceps have 2 origins, triceps have 3, quadriceps have 4. The origin is the attachment to the bone that does not move. Number 6, the insertion is the attachment of the muscle to the bone that does move. So one of my favorite muscles in the body is the sternocleidomastoid. The sternocleidomastoid allows you to flex your neck, flex your head, and it's named because its origin is the sternum and the clavicle, and its insertion is the mastoid process, the bump behind your ear. Sternocleidomastoid. We'll learn that muscle today. And then finally, the action of the muscle. Some muscles are named after the movement they make, like our groin muscles, our inner groin muscles are called the adductors. And there are a few more examples of that. A lot of the muscles are named for several of these naming systems. So let's get into this. We're going to fly through this. The main muscle of your forehead is the frontalis. It allows you to elevate your eyebrows. Then, and it's named for location. It's right on top of the frontal bone. Crazy word, orbicularis oculi. The first word means orbit, to go around. Oculi means eye, so the muscle that goes around the eye. So this allows you to blink, to squint, to wink. Then, very similar word, orbicularis oris, is the muscle that orbits the mouth. And this would include your lips. So it allows you to close your lips, purse your lips, protrude your lips. Oftentimes, orbicularis oris is called the kissing muscle. Zygomaticus is named for the zygomatic bone. You can see that it is attached to the corner of the mouth, and this is known as the smiling muscle. It allows you to pull your lips up when you smile. Moving to the side of the head, we have a small muscle embedded in our cheek, and pronunciation is interesting. It's the buccinator. The buccinator is a small muscle, and it allows you to control things that are in your mouth. So you have some food in your mouth, you can control that. I always talk about my grandfather always had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and for sure he controlled that cigarette with his buccinator. Don't smoke, kids, by the way. The large muscle of your cheek is called the masseter. The masseter is the prime mover of jaw closure, the prime mover of mastication, the prime mover of chewing. So if you clench your teeth together and hold your cheek back towards your ear, you can feel the masseter muscle. Another muscle of our head, the temporalis, is named for the temporal bone, and it's a synergist for jaw closure. It helps you close your jaw. It helps you chew. So it helps the masseter. Down in our neck, we have the platysma. It's named for its shape. It's a fan-shaped muscle. It's a very thin muscle of your neck, and it will pull your lower lips down. So it could be like the zygomaticus was the smiling muscle. The platysma could be considered the frowning muscle. Then here's my favorite muscle in the whole body. Very long word, sternocleidomastoid, named for the sternum, the clavicle, and the mastoid process bump behind your ear. It's the prime mover of head flexion. So when you put your head on your chest, remember that is head flexion. Also allows you to laterally flex. Now, we haven't really talked about this movement. This is like putting your ear on your shoulder, either way. Going to the back of the neck, we have the splenius. The splenius is the prime mover of head hyperextension. So when you look up in the air, the splenius allows you to do this. This is also the whiplash muscle that gets strained. So sometimes you see people having to wear neck braces when they've been in a car accident because their splenius has been strained from the whiplash of the accident. All right, so obviously we're not learning every muscle in the body. We just went through the larger muscles of the head and neck. Now let's go to the muscles of the chest. And I don't really have any good pictures for these. The intercostal muscles are the muscles between your ribs. So we have two sets of these, the external ones and the internal ones. The external ones, if you feel between your ribs right now, those allow you to breathe in. They're not the prime mover, but they allow you to breathe in. The internal ones allow you to breathe out. So I always say E with I. And what I mean by that is, so you don't get them mixed up when you have to know their physiology, know that the E in external matches up with the I in inspiration, and the I in internal matches up with the E in expiration. Obviously, the diaphragm, which is right underneath your rib cage, is the prime mover of breathing. We'll talk more about those muscles second semester when we do the respiratory system. Muscles of the abdominal wall, the six-pack. It's really an eight-pack. It's called the rectus abdominis, the straight up and down muscle of the abdomen. This allows you to flex your vertebral column. So bending over, bowing, is because of the rectus abdominis. Obviously, we work it out by doing crunches and sit-ups. Transversus abdominis is out here laterally, but it's deeper, and it also allows you to compress your abdomen. The obliques are lateral, so if you grab the sides of your abdomen, you are feeling the external obliques, and the internal obliques are underneath them. Transversus abdominis is the deepest muscle of the abdomen, so transversus abdominis sits right on top of your digestive organs. The obliques also allow you to bow. They also allow you to bend over sideways. They also allow you to rotate your vertebral column. All right, to the back. The trapezius, also known as the trap, very large muscle of your neck, allows you to move your scapula. And this one's unique in that it will allow you to elevate your shoulders, but it also allows you to depress your shoulders at the same time. It's really the only muscle I can think of that is both the top part's the prime mover, the bottom part is the antagonist. So the only muscle that both is a prime mover and an antagonist at the same time. Pectoralis major is the main muscle of your chest. It is the prime mover of arm flexion. Remember, that's when you put your arm straight out in front of you. On the back side of that is latissimus dorsi, also known as the lats. These are the prime movers of arm extension, so bringing your arm back next to your body or even hyperextending your arm backwards. Also adduction, so bringing your arm back to the midline, towards the midline of the body. Deltoid sits right on top of your shoulder and is the prime mover of abduction, so taking your arm away from the midline. And let's finish with this one, biceps brachii, we talked about earlier. Prime mover of elbow flexion. And you can see in the picture that its origin is the scapula and its insertion is the radius bone. All right, we'll stop there. And you can look at Canvas to see what pages in your packet you should do. I will talk to all of you later. Have a great election day.